Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It is Wednesday, the 22nd day of January. Today is National Blonde Brownie Day.
Yum.
Are those good? Have I had blonde brownies?
Oh, they're so good.
So what does a blonde brownie taste like?
It's just like the cake batter in it is white, but it's got like chocolate chips in it, and they're so good.
I am going to have to try one of those. You'll have to make some today.
You've had
It's
some.
also Library Shelfie Day. You know what that is?
No.
You're supposed to go to the library and take a selfie in front of a shelf.
Ah.
It's Library Shelfie Day.
Okay.
And if you don't have a library card, that
probably
would be a
won't
good
do
time
that.
to, get one of those as well. Speaking of books, we're going to be chatting with the author of not one, not two, several books, but he's got a brand new one out. His name is Jocko Willink. He is a decorated Navy SEAL and American hero.
Oh.
His latest book is called Leadership Strategy and Tactics Field Manual. And we're going to be chatting with him about that book coming up in a bit.
Student loan debt is out of control for many people. Are you one of them? The average graduate walks away with anywhere from $25,000 to $40,000 in student loans. Believe it or not, 2% even manage to owe over $100,000 by the time they graduate. If you have several different student loans, let us consolidate them into one loan and one payment at singlestudentloan.com. If you have only one student loan, we may be able to offer you a better rate to help you get that loan paid off sooner at singlestudentloan.com. That's singlestudentloan.com.
Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. A survey by U.S. World and News named Switzerland as the best country in the world. Canada is second on the list. United States, by the way, is seventh on the list. So Switzerland is numero uno according to U.S. World and News. Number two is Canada. Again, the United States came in seventh place. I've got a link to the story and all of the information in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
When was the last time you got a new credit card? If you have a card that's been in your purse or wallet for a long time, you should check and see if you're getting the best rates. You may find a better credit card that will give you the points you want or cashback options you don't get right now. At BetterCreditCards.com, you see all the major credit card companies and their best offers. Let them compete to earn your business. And if the one you have right now is better, keep it. Find a card that's a better fit for you at BetterCreditCards.com. That's BetterCreditCards.com.
This is your Brain on Drugs, brought to you by Time4Rehab.com. A driving teacher was arrested in Germantown, Wisconsin for driving drunk while teaching a student. It says before that, he hit the Germantown High School principal. It was all caught on surveillance video. Video shows the instructor, Corey Malone, backing up into a gate that then hit the Germantown High School principal. According to police, when they tested him, his blood alcohol was 3 times over the legal limit.
Oh, man.
In the backseat of the car, while all of this was happening, was a student that he had picked up for his driving lesson. He later told police he didn't remember having the student in the car. And he says the owner of the driving school told police she smelled what she thought was alcohol before he went to the high school. She said that he told her he quit drinking at midnight. So he said it was probably closer to 2 a.m. He was taken into custody for his first OWI, operating while intoxicated. So
yikes.
that's a bad idea, and you don't want to do that ever, ever, ever. But definitely not when you're teaching someone how to drive. But
Here's what not to do.
Yeah, that is what happens when your brain is on drugs. Brought to you by Time4Rehab.com. Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. Critics are calling Doolittle. They're calling it a lot of bad things. The film currently holds a 17% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's not doing well. We'll put it that way. Ron Farrow and HBO are teaming up to make a documentary about threats against journalists. So I guess that's becoming a big thing where journalists are, telling their version of the truth, and then people are getting upset and threatening them. So
maybe if they would just tell the truth,
and even if
that wouldn't be an issue.
Here's the thing: even if they're bold-faced lying, you still don't threaten them. That's a bad idea. You don't, threaten bodily harm or whatever.
I'd better delete some emails.
Is that why our news department has asked me to? No, she's just being silly.
I'm totally
absolutely.
kidding.
But no, in the fake news world we live in today, hashtag fake news, it's everywhere, and people are freaking out. So it'll be an interesting documentary to see kind of how they toe the line on that, because it might actually enrage even more people. We'll see.
Why would you threaten? Why give them a heads up?
Don't give anyone any ideas. Big Screen, Little Screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com.
It's a new year. Have you made a resolution to quit drinking or to finally get away from drugs for good? These are both habits that are hard to kick, but you can do it. We want to help you. TimeForRehab.com is here to help you find the help you need with your particular situation. If you want to make this year the year you get the help you need to live a normal life again, start with a little help from us at TimeForRehab.com. That's TimeForRehab.com.
Now, your scoop of the day, brought to you by FunkyMonkeyShirts.com. A video of a woman walking topless through the Miami airport has gone viral.
Okay.
So, the thing that's interesting, like when I was looking through the news to find this,
Is that legal? Can you just do that? Okay.
No. That's why she was arrested, I believe. But they in the story, it said that they think she was like under the influence of something, like she was dazed and there was something going on.
So how is that? Oh, I'm not even going to open that can of worms because it's going to be...
Yeah, I have no idea. If you want to see the video, if you want to see the info, whatever, there's a link to it in the show notes for today. Now we'll see if our listeners are perverted. If like today's show notes has more people than ever looking at it, then that's what I'm going to blame it on. Philippines president told reporters that he's not threatened by the volcano that was erupting in Manila. In fact, he said he's going to urinate on it and then eat the volcanic ash that comes out of it.
What?
I don't. I am reading what I see on the internet. So I don't know what's going on there, but that is just bizarre. Special forces captured a 560-pound ISIS terrorist last week who had been hauled away on a flatbed truck. He's an ISIS terrorist. He was 560
How much of a threat
pounds.
could he be at 560? I mean,
I don't know.
How fast could he possibly move around to do anything?
I don't think that he's like running. I don't know what he's doing. I have no idea, but I've got...
Wow.
Again, I have a link to that story. It's a bizarre day with a bunch of bizarre stories like this one. Amazon is developing new terminals that could link your credit card information to your palm print so you could pay for groceries by waving your hand at the checkout. I don't know that we need that. Is that a necessary thing?
No, it's not.
So they would like scan your hand and then it would charge your card.
No, thanks.
And that's all fine and good.
I'm not doing that.
For some people, but I don't know that I would want that. Because then somebody gets your handprint and they could like go and charge a bunch of stuff on Amazon.
And what if your handprint changes in some way? Like if you burn it, taking something out of the oven.
I don't know.
So then your
I don't know.
print changes, and then you can't pay for your stuff. You're at the store and you can't pay for anything because your handprint doesn't.
I was behind somebody the other day that was writing a check, and there was a person behind me that was waiting for me while I was waiting for the person to write a check, and I thought they were going to have like a fit.
I haven't seen anybody write a check anywhere.
It was an older gentleman, and he even said to me, he put his hand on my shoulder, he goes, "I'm sorry, son, this might take a second." I said, "Nah, it's not a big deal, no rush." But the person behind me got very huffy and went to a different checkout lane. So that is who they invented this technology
Relax.
for.
Yeah,
And
you think that old guy who was doing that is going to go... No.
But the person that was in a hurry that didn't even want to pull out a card, if they could just talk to the hand and get scanned, I'm pretty sure they'd do it. And one last story. Jaguar and Land Rover, they're developing seats that will massage your tush as you drive. Do we need this?
Yeah, then you'll fall asleep behind the wheel, and then there'll be all kinds of trouble.
We have heated seats, and I don't like it. You'll turn those on once in a while, and I don't realize they're on. I'm driving, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, what then? Oh, that's the heated seats.
I like the heated seats.
Well, there are times that they come in handy. All right, it's going to do it for your scoop of the day on the John and Heidi Show.
Student loan debt is out of control for many people. Are you one of them? The average graduate walks away with anywhere from $25,000 to $40,000 in student loans. Believe it or not, 2% even manage to owe over $100,000 by the time they graduate. If you have several different student loans, let us consolidate them into one loan and one payment at singlestudentloan.com. If you have only one student loan, we may be able to offer you a better rate to help you get that loan paid off sooner at singlestudentloan.com. That's singlestudentloan.com.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Super excited to visit with retired U.S. Navy SEAL and one of the authors of the New York Times bestselling book, Extreme Ownership, How U.S. Navy SEALs Lead and Win, Jocko Willink. How you doing, sir?
Thanks for having me on. Doing great.
An honor to have you on. So first of all, thank you very much for your service to our country. I think that's amazing.
It was an honor to serve.
Now, how long were you in the Navy, and how long were you a Navy SEAL?
I was only in the Navy for 20 years, and I was a SEAL that whole time.
So only 20 years, you say. I think that sounds like a pretty long time.
It went by quickly.
As you look back at your career, is it kind of what you were expecting or completely different?
My career was awesome. I was very blessed. Seemed to always be in the right place at the right time. I worked with incredible people. I had incredible opportunities. I wouldn't change anything. I'm the luckiest guy in the world when it comes to my career in the Navy. You
were awarded the Silver Star, the Bronze Star, many other awards, so you're very decorated. You have this book out. You know, this isn't just from some guy. This is from somebody, you know what you're talking about, don't you?
Well, I definitely got some experience over the years, not only in the military when I retired from the military, and of course in the military, in the SEAL teams, I was in a leadership position for a lot of that time as an assistant platoon commander. I was a platoon commander. I was a task unit commander. I ran the training for the West Coast SEAL team, so I spent a lot of time in leadership position there. And then when I retired, I started working with companies, and I started a leadership consulting company called Echelon Front, and that's what I do now. Me and my team, we go around the country and we work with different companies, getting their leadership aligned and teaching them the leadership principles that we all learned on the battlefield.
When we first started talking, I mentioned one of the books that you have out, but you've got many other books, and you've got, is it a new book, Leadership Strategy and Tactics Field Manual? Is that a new one?
Yep, that's the book that's actually released right now.
So if folks are looking for a book on leadership, this would probably be a pretty darn good one that would check a lot of boxes, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and what this book is, you know, it's a field manual, and if you're ever in the military, you know what a field manual is, and if you weren't, then what a field manual is, it's something that provides very simple, straightforward instructions on how to do something. So if you want to know how to shoot a gun, there's a field manual on how to shoot. If you want to know how to do land navigation, there's a field manual on how to do that. There's a field manual for how to do just about everything inside the military. And what I realized is those are great manuals to have. They're very simple, very straightforward. But there wasn't anything like that in the civilian sector for leadership. And so that's what I did. I have a consulting company. Hey, I get asked questions all the time. I have a leadership podcast. I talk about leadership all the time. I get asked questions. I get asked the same questions over and over again. So I thought to myself that there's people out there that don't quite make the connection between the fact that leadership is an actual skill and there are moves that you can make. There are techniques you can use. There's strategies and tactics that you can utilize when you run into a problem as a leader to overcome those problems. And so I captured all those leadership strategies and tactics that I've used over the years. I put them into a single book so that anyone can, when they run into a leadership problem, can open up the book, they can find the problem, and they can find the solution to that problem.
I think that's brilliant. Again, the book is called Leadership Strategy and Tactics Field Manual. It's available right now. I'm going to throw a link to make it really easy to find that as well. But some of the things that you talk about in the book are taking ownership for mistakes, because people do make mistakes, don't they?
Yeah, people definitely make mistakes, and one of the worst things you can do when you make a mistake is point fingers at other people and not take ownership. So when you make a mistake and you point your finger at somebody else and blame them, guess what they're going to do? They're going to point their finger at somebody else and blame someone else as well. And what you end up with is a team where no one on the team takes ownership of the problems, and therefore the problems don't get solved. So what you have to do when you make a mistake as a leader, you take ownership of that problem and you get it solved.
And another thing, speaking of the team, doling out credit where credit is due. I think that's another thing you talk about in the book, but I think that's really important too, isn't it?
Yeah, you absolutely have to encourage your folks and tell them when they've done something well, but you have to be careful that you're not doing false cheerleading and telling them they did a great job even though it was an okay job. And, one of the things that I would do is if my team collectively did an okay job, but there was a couple people that did great, I would single out the people that did great. So everybody knew that I was more than willing to praise, but you had to really do well. And I would hear later, from guys that they wanted nothing more than to hear a compliment from me, and that made them work that much harder.
That is awesome. Again, Jocko Willink is our guest right now. The book is called Leadership Strategy and Tactics Field Manual. It's available right now. We're going to throw a link to that in the show notes to make it really easy to find. Jocko, thank you again.
Thanks for having me on, John.
Again, our guest today has been Navy SEAL Jocko Willink. He's got a book, Leadership Strategy and Tactics Field Manual. It's available right now, and I have a link to it in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
Want to make your sweetheart smile next month for Valentine's Day? Find some fun, matching shirts at funkymonkeyshirts.com. We have a whole collection of fun shirts for you lovebirds.
My wife rocks.
My man rocks.
We also have many silly shirts that will make you smile any day of the year.
My ex-wife was a trophy wife.
Participation trophy.
Find something fun for a loved one, friend, or for yourself at funkymonkeyshirts.com. That's funkymonkeyshirts.com.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Kids ask 300 questions a day. A 2013 UK study from an online retailer observed young children recorded the questions they asked adults around them. The children tended to turn to their mothers the most for answers. These moms ended up answering, on average, about 300 questions per day, or one question every 2.5 minutes the kid was awake. Study found, says the hardest question they were asked included, why is water wet? And what are shadows made of? Wow. Good question.
So, what age group? 4?
300. It doesn't say. It doesn't say what. It says young children, so I don't know what age
Because
young
if you got
is.
high schoolers asking, Mom, why is water wet? Maybe send them to a different school.
Very good point. This is today's fun fact.
When was the last time you got a new credit card? If you have a card that's been in your purse or wallet for a long time, you should check and see if you're getting the best rates. You may find a better credit card that will give you the points you want or cashback options you don't get right now. At bettercreditcards.com, you see all the major credit card companies and their best offers. Let them compete to earn your business. And if the one you have right now is better, keep it. Find a card that's a better fit for you at bettercreditcards.com. That's bettercreditcards.com.
Now, some news headlines from somewhere in this world. Dateline, Russia. The entire Russian government resigned last week after Vladimir Putin proposed changes to the country's constitution. I think that's kind of interesting because now I believe that means that he'll be able to run for office again. So, like, he was going to be done, and now he'll be able to keep in power. So, I don't know. Online, there are a lot of interesting opinions about that. I noticed none of them from Russia. So, which is kind of concerning. There you go. Dateline, Russia. This has been news headlines from somewhere in this world.
It's a new year. Have you made a resolution to quit drinking or to finally get away from drugs for good? These are both habits that are hard to kick, but you can do it. We want to help you. TimeForRehab.com is here to help you find the help you need with your particular situation. If you want to make this year the year you get the help you need to live a normal life again, start with a little help from us at TimeForRehab.com. That's TimeForRehab.com.
Now, some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. They got like a countdown to Valentine's going there already. I'm not ready for that. So there's a Valentine's
coming up
stuff.
quick.
I know. Yeah, there's like some Valentine's
Yeah.
stuff. 37-year-old woman was arrested Saturday after deputies say she tried to build an explosive device inside a Walmart, and she had a child with her at the time, too. Emily Stollard faces charges of attempted arson of a structure, wanting to firebomb the store, apparently, and she also was charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor, child abuse, and battery of a law enforcement officer. Yeah, this all took place at about 6 p.m. at a Walmart. It says here she was roaming the aisles of the store, opening unpaid items like flammable materials, projectiles, and matches. A guard called the sheriff's office. They notified an off-duty Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission officer who happened to be, well, they were in the store. So the guard and the off-duty officer approached the woman, detained her until deputies could arrive. She had a child with her at the time of the incident. She was being held on bond of $8,500. So that's just
$8,500. That's all for trying to blow up a building.
That was just what it would be for her to get out of jail that night. But no, that's not all. It's not like a fine. She was in jail for that. Weird story.
I wouldn't have let her out for that. I mean, she's clearly dangerous.
Yeah, I don't think she had that. Weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com.
John and Heidi.
Now, your moment of duh, brought to you by SingleStudentLoan.com. A Chicago pastor is accused of stealing about $1 million from a food program for needy children. How sad is that?
Jeez.
Chicago is not too happy with this dude.
That's when you want the express train to hell.
Well,
like, you don't want to stand in line. You want to be first.
And listen to what he spent the money on. He used some of the cash to buy himself a flashy new Bentley. Reverend Clarence Smith Jr., who led New Life Impact Church, was indicted on fraud charges, bilking more than $900,000 given to a ministry for federally funded food programs.
Wow.
It says here the 45-year-old pastor didn't follow through with feeding the hungry. Instead, he deposited these checks into his own account. He then used the money to buy himself a brand new $142,000 Bentley Flying Spur luxury sedan and many other things as well. It says he pled not guilty to the 4 fraud-related counts. And various luxury goods raised alarm bells to many people. He was coming around in Jordans and Bentleys and the new cars. I was like, wait a minute, pastors don't do that. One of the people from the congregation said.
They're not supposed to.
I've got a link to that story if you want to read all about it. It is just a bizarre one. It is today's moment of duh.
When was the last time you got a new credit card? If you have a card that's been in your purse or wallet for a long time, you should check and see if you're getting the best rates. You may find a better credit card that will give you the points you want or cashback options you don't get right now. At bettercreditcards.com, you see all the major credit card companies and their best offers. Let them compete to earn your business. And if the one you have right now is better, keep it. Find a card that's a better fit for you at bettercreditcards.com. That's bettercreditcards.com.
Now, fake news or Florida. Heidi, tell me, is this a true story from the great state of Florida, or is it made up just to trick you and amuse me? Here we go. Fake news or Florida? A Florida man was arrested for trying to trade marijuana for food at a McDonald's drive-thru. Fake news or Florida? It is a true story.
I remember that one.
I think we read that. That was a year ago, wasn't it?
We did. I remember that one.
There have been so many stories lately, so many bizarre stories lately, that it's going to be tough for me to fool you on some of those. That's why I kind of hold them for a while, hoping that you forget about
or
them.
I wasn't listening.
But some of them are just unforgettable.
Yeah.
Like that. Who would do that? Well, he would do that. I've got a link to the story. It's in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. It comes your way courtesy of bettercreditcards.com. So there's this football game that's coming up. Mm-hmm. A couple weeks from now, I think it is. We don't really follow sports, but I saw on the old interwebs that a lot of folks excited about that.
Yeah.
And there's some other folks that are not so excited because their team didn't make it. But this is I guess it's not a football story. I just read it. It's a baseball story.
Wow.
I've heard of sports.
We have a coworker that's going to love this.
We have a friend of ours he's very into sports, and I'm
not.
San Francisco
That's
Giants.
just embarrassing.
It really is. Can I get a do-over? San Francisco Giants hire the first female coach for the Major League Baseball, which has nothing to do whatsoever with football. So forget all that stuff I said earlier. They announced that they have hired Alyssa Nacken, officially making her the first female coach. I probably said her name wrong, too. Now, I don't know anything about anything, so I'm going to just say that. But first female coach in Major League Baseball history. And I really need to pre-read some stories. She's a 3-time academic All-American softball player for Sacramento State, was the first hired by the Giants as an intern about 6 years ago, 2014. Since then, has worked her way up through the organization, and now she is the first GM. I think that's really kind of cool. So it's a neat story. It's really cool. She was nominated by her peers for an award from 2019 called the Sprinkles of Love Award. And just a lot of really good stuff in this story that I've got a link to it, and you can read it if you'd like. It's in the show notes for today, along with my apology I'm typing right now. I really need to learn more about sports. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show.